Warsaw Chopin Airport. This is where your Poland adventure begins. Whether you are taking off to some ordinary or some exotic destination, you'll feel like a kid in a candy store. Check in to check out. Warsaw's Chopin Airport. Your gateway to adventure. In this show, we're going to take you around Warsaw Chopin Airport and show you some of the things that we enjoyed during a week at the airport. We're going to talk to Adrian Kubicki. We're going to talk to Nicholas Richardson and a few other people. You'll see a roundup of leading topics of the week. We hope you'll enjoy it. You just came back from Los Angeles, and Lot received an award. We were talking about that before. Tell us about
the best airline in Europe.
What?
Granted by actually readers of one of the most popular travel magazines in the U.S., Global Traveler.
Holy smoke, kids! That's pretty good, don't you think?
Yeah. For second consecutive year.
Mm-hmm.
Quite accomplishment, because this is the survey, which is not granted by any publishing house or people who try to judge which airline is better than the other. It's actually granted by readers, so people who travel, frequent travelers. This is probably the most valuable prize that any airline can get. What is really good for us, that we're starting to be recognized as the airline of Central and Eastern Europe, and the major. Actually, we reached out to the Premier League of European carriers, European airlines. We are recognized among other big airlines. Maybe this is not surprising here in Poland, but. You have to understand, United States of America, population of what, 150 million?
No, the population of the United States is about 340 million.
340 million. Yeah. Many airlines flying to the US, most of them much larger than LOT Polish Airlines, so it's not easy actually to build awareness. And this is something what we are accomplishing. Maybe we are not there yet, but the more awards we receive, it shows that we are doing a good job.
No, now listen, wait a second. Am I tall enough to get on this flight? I'm a little worried. I'm tall enough, or do I stand on my tiptoes?
No.
Is everybody your size in your country? What's your name?
My name is Peter.
My neck is starting to hurt. I need a ladder. I've got to, maybe I need to stand up here. How long have you been working here, Pete?
It's from about 6 days.
You just started, and they were looking for somebody to fix the signs without a ladder, or
no?
You can fix the things over the no.
But when I walk around, the guys who see me in the check-ins, they scared me. They think
they're afraid of you.
Yes,
because they think you're the guy from 007 movies, James Bond movies. Okay, now, next time I'm getting a basketball game together, I'm calling you, okay? I'm calling you to play on my team. I'm going to give you the ball, and you're just going to put it in, okay?
The efficiency is key for all our business class passengers. For those who travel on business purposes, they don't come to airport too early, much in advance. They want to squeeze everything in the most limited time they possibly can. And for that purpose, we always say to these passengers, travel on LOT and from Warsaw, because this is the most efficient airport. As you can see, you have only a few steps from check-in zone to the security, which is dedicated, so-called fast track. This is dedicated security for business class passengers. No queues whatsoever, only few steps from the check-in. And you pass the security, and only a few steps above the security, if we can present it, upstairs from the security, we have our business lounge. You can see through the window. This is where you end just prior to boarding the airplane. You can work a little bit, you have a food there, wide choice of beverages. You can spend your time working, relaxing before your journey.
Planes, trains, and automobiles. All great ways of getting around, but if you're at an airport, pretty likely you're going to be taking an airplane. a big old jet airliner somewhere in the world, some destination, far or possibly near. In Poland, you might be headed to Krakow. You might be headed to Warsaw from one of the other cities. You might be headed to Wrocław or Poznan or Gdansk. You might be going to Lublin. We have a lot of choices. Those are all the major, most of the major cities. I forgot Łódź, but it's very close. You can take a train to Łódź if you are going to fly long distance. Nothing like that beautiful Boeing Dreamliner. Quite an airplane, roomy and very comfortable, and great for flying to Toronto, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, any of those kind of places in the States. I don't know if it flies to Los Angeles, but I know it flies to the East Coast. Great airplane.
And what does lot mean?
Actually, it doesn't mean anything. It's not the shortcut from anything, what some people think of lot, that it comes from some broader name.
Yeah.
It meant flight, and it means flight.
It means flight.
So it doesn't have direct translation. We use just lot all over the world. Mm-hmm. It's actually very nice to use in English as a promotion code, like a lot of.
A lot of something, yeah.
Yeah.
That's very good. That should be a tagline. You can buy Chopin vodka and Chopin
on board
chocolates and Chopin all kinds of things.
Everything was associated with Chopin. We do basically the same thing as Austrian do with Mozart.
Yeah.
We're very proud of Chopin, and it's actually well known.
No, he's
Remember
fantastic.
that we have international Chopin contest here in Poland every few years. Mm-hmm. Another is coming in 2020. Mm-hmm. And I hope the pianists will come on lot here to Warsaw to play piano, to be part of the contest.
There's a big contest every year,
but
right,
it's not every year.
They can use the airport to get here for the contest.
Well, they sort of must. Because, as you said,
it's a long way from Japan if you don't fly. There's a long relationship between Boeing and LOT Airlines, and you were actually one of the first companies doing the transatlantic flights.
It needs to be said that LOT, despite relatively small size comparing to other airlines, and pretty unfortunate location, because obviously being part of the Soviet bloc really stopped us from growing, and we couldn't grow enough connections back in the Soviet times.
Those darn Russians again.
Right.
Yeah. Doggone.
We still were capable to remain probably the most innovative airline in the sky. We were the first airline within the Soviet bloc, to implement Boeing aircraft, so Western aircraft, to our fleet. In the 90s,
That's
we
interesting.
operated.
How did that happen? Yeah.
In the 80s, we made this decision that LOT needs new airplanes to serve transatlantic flights, and we were actually flying all over the world, to Bangkok, to Singapore, to Los Angeles, to Alaska, believe me or not, to Brazil, to you name it. And we needed really reliable aircraft, which is comfortable enough, which is the most technologically advanced, and we decided to implement 767 to our fleet. It served since then for 25 years. Now, if you compare our facilities with any airport in the US, you have to say that we made the progress, whereas not all of the airports made the progress in the US.
They haven't. I mean, the only reason, in the last few years, got decent food in JFK, and Dulles is a disaster. When you fly I fly to Washington a lot because I'm from Virginia and live there. That's my airport.
The problem of the infrastructure all over Europe, Western Europe, and the same in the US, is that these constructions were built in the 60s. They are not really used to be hubs for people who are transferring to other connections, or basically to accommodate that large amount of passengers.
This great amount
and
of traffic.
And I'll tell you that we're going to see the same problem very soon here, because we grow so fast that this airport is actually already too small to actually fit to our growth path.
Did you ever see the old airport?
I did see the original old airport in the very early 90s. And It was quite a spooky experience.
What was that like?
Pretty awful. It was a very simple airport. You landed and you went to passport control, and you're in these sort of plastic boxes, and the door closed behind you, and you were faced by somebody from the army or something. It was all pretty spooky. Then you arrived, you got through, and there was the entrance for where you collect your luggage is like an African airport, so it was pretty chaotic. and then you found your way to the town centre. So this airport, of course, is a fantastic improvement.
Hey, some African airports are a lot nicer than that airport was.
Yes, they
I
are.
know the Russians didn't know much about aesthetics, did they?
Well, I think they didn't know much about aesthetics. They didn't want people travelling either, by definition.
Yeah, they didn't want people traveling, so they wanted to make the experience as horrible as possible. And what a great thing that the Russians are no longer here.
Yeah, they're not very good on certain things, and air travel is probably
Yeah, they're
one
not
of
in
them.
charge.
They're not
No, they're
welcoming,
doing
no.
okay over there.